All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Um, so for class today, if you have two yoga blocks, grab those. The blanket for me will be mostly for padding my knees, and at one point towards the end of the class, when we're on our belly, padding the hip bones and the pubic bones. So if you want that, the strap today would be only for the quad stretch. So if you struggle to reach back and find your foot, or your hamstring cramps, or your knee hurts in the quad stretch, grab a strap for the practice today. So my focus for the practice today, well, as usual, I like to do like a full body balanced class, but the focus will be on hands, wrist, and forearms. So I'm thinking about the gripping of the oars, and even though I know you're not supposed to grip tightly, there is some engagement here through the fingers, which are muscles that are controlled, or the finger movement is controlled by muscles in the forearms as well as in the palms. So we're going to do a few things to strengthen the muscles in the palms and start to stretch and release muscles in the forearms that control wrist and finger movement as well. So and just as a reminder, if some of the stretches we do can be kind of intense, especially if you have limited range of motion in your wrist, or if it's painful to weight bear down through the hands or through the wrist. So know that there's always options to lessen the intensity or do it a different way. So listen for those options that I give. And rest at any time, substitute and do something you know that works for your body. So we're going to start on our backs. So whatever position feels comfortable to you here, knees could be bent or straight. Hands could be making contact with the belly and chest, or maybe they come out to the sides. Begin the practice by focusing on the breath. Starting to lengthen and slow down the inhale and exhale through the nose. So for me, when I get on my yoga mat, especially when I lie down on my yoga mat, it's a little Pavlovian. My breath starts to lengthen out and slow down without me having to think about it. But that's after years of practice. So we're being intentional with the breath here. Remembering that the breath is the foundation of this practice. This is what anchors us, or can help anchor us to the moment, the present moment. So feeling that lengthened breath here, knowing this is the breath that we are going to stay with throughout the practice as we start to move. Take the next few breaths to set an intention for your practice. And this is could be very specific to you, meaning there might be a very particular reason that you're showing up to practice today. It could be about taking care of your body. It could be about recovering from workout. It could be about injury prevention or healing from. Maybe it's just about feeling good. And if none of that speaks to you, if you don't have a specific intention for the practice, perhaps you dedicate this practice to someone who might need your positive thoughts and energy. So bring this thought or this person to the front of your mind and breathe with intention. So we'll start to move here by having the feet and the hands reaching up towards the ceiling. And notice that I don't have my knees all the way straight, so this doesn't have to be a big stretch in the back of the legs for you. And then start to circle the feet and the hands. So circling from the ankles and circling from the wrist. And there might be a few pop-pops in the ankles, especially. You might feel a little bit of muscle or muscle tendon kind of moving here over bones and joints. Circle the other way. If you have some tightness in the feet, the calves, the Achilles, tightness in the wrist or the forearm, sometimes just doing these gentle warm-up movements can help, especially if you've been still for a long period of time. And then pause here, and I'd like you just to shake out your arms and shake out your legs. And then when you're ready, pull both knees in towards, you could hold shins or backs of knees if that's better for your joints. And just gently rock a little side to side. Or it might feel good to circle the hips and knees. And bring this back in through center here, and just notice how the low back is pressed into the floor in this position. So the low back is flattened. We're going to be doing something with one leg here that you'll need to work to keep that low back flattened. So we'll keep one knee pulled in and reach the other leg up towards the ceiling. Now, I'm not hugging this one knee in very hard. In fact, if you would like, you don't even have to use the hands. Keep that low back pressed into the floor as you start to slowly lower the straightened leg. And you could bring it almost to the floor. And then we'll bend the knee and bring it back in and up. So we just made this big circling motion. So keep that low back pressed into the floor. Inhale, lowering the leg almost to the floor. Exhale, pull it in and reach it up. And we'll do a few more like this, keeping that low back pressed into the floor. So this is making you have to isometrically use your rectus abdominis. So the vertical abdominal muscles here, the six pack, it's in there. We'll do one more on this side and then pull that knee in. Now that's the one that's going to stay stationary and reach the other foot up towards the ceiling. Keep the low back pressed into the floor. Inhale, lower that leg almost to the floor. Exhale, pull it in and up. So it's a slow motion movement. We're breathing, trying to keep those neck muscles relaxed. The rectus abdominis muscle is one of the main muscles, along with your hip flexors, that control your torso position from the middle of the drive phase into the finish, and then also that transition from the finish going back into the catch. So they're pretty important for at least 50% of your stroke, that control and the strength and the stamina really of these muscles. All right, we'll bring both feet down to the floor and start to just gently rock the knees side to side. So it's more relaxed, less of an abdominal engagement. We'll bring the knees back in through center, just to start to open up the chest a little bit, especially if you started to tighten up through the neck on that last one. We're coming into position where I call robot arms. So elbows are bent at 90 degrees. The hands are pointing up towards the ceiling. This is like how they depicted the robots in the 50s and the 60s, where it was in a box and those like corrugated arms come out. So we're keeping the back of the head and the hips down. Inhale, press the backs of the shoulders into the floor, lifting the breastbone. And then on the exhale, allowing that to relax. And do that again. So we inhale, press the shoulders into the floor, lift the breastbone. Exhale, allow that to release. We'll do that a few more times. And if you were pushing with 100% effort, I'd like you to dial the effort back just a little bit. Somewhere between like 50 and 75% strength effort, and make this a little more flowy, a little bit more cat and cow-y. Feeling the chest open, the collarbones broaden. At the same time, those upper back muscles engaging, getting you out of forward shoulder position. All right, relaxing here on the next one. Roll to your side, and we're going to come on up to hands and knees. So I'm patting my knees here. We'll be on our knees for the next several poses. So if you're on a harder surface, that might feel welcome to you. And we're starting here with the knees under the hips, the wrist under the shoulders. Sometimes this hand position can be challenging. So remember, you could be on loose fist or even down on your forearms if you need to take the pressure off one or both hands, both wrists. Cat and cow motions of the spine. We exhale, round through the back, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. Inhale, lift the tailbone, pull the chest forward. And we go back and forth between those spinal movements. Exhale, rounding, belly button towards spine. Inhale, belly towards floor, chest forward. Back and forth a few more times. We're warming up the spine, so no reason to be aggressive here. So you could stay right here in this hand position, or you could add this up on tinted fingertips here. So coming up on the pads of all 5 fingers and doing that same movement of cat and cow. So this hand position does a couple of things for you. Gives you a little bit more range of motion, that mid and upper back, that shoulder blade movement here on the back and side ribs. But we are strengthening the muscles that support kind of the dome in the arch, the palm of the hand. And these muscles, when they're strong, actually take some work off the wrist. And we'll bring those hands back flat here and come into a neutral spine position. And I'm coming into, I sometimes kind of skim over this here in the practice, but I'm going to make a more concerted effort to cue the hand positioning and engagement of the muscles. So here, with a weight bearing on the hand, spread your fingers out wide. And then you're clawing the pads of the fingers. So like the fingertip, the fingerprint part of the fingers are pressing into the floor as well as the heel of the hands. And you're making a little dome underneath the hand. This strengthening in the palms can take some work off the wrist and off the shoulders. So keep that hand engagement. We're going to circle the hips. So you inhale the hips towards one side, back towards your heels. Exhale the hips to the other side and bring it forward. So staying mindful of that sort of doming of the palms, the pressing the fingertips, the fingerprint parts of the fingers into the floor. Circle the other direction. And if you want more sensation of stretch to the back, you might push your ribs out to the side a little bit more and or the hips closer to the heels. We'll do one more circle. And bringing this back up to that tabletop, that neutral spine position here. And take a break off one hand, maybe shake out that wrist, shake out the fingers, shake it out on the other hand. And we'll come back down, re-engage here through the hand, those fingertips, fingerprint, parts of the fingers pressing into the floor. Bring your knees out a little wider than your hips. And we're going to thread the needle. So we're going to leave one arm down and inhale, sweep the other arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, thread this arm underneath the other. You could peek under that supporting arm. We inhale, sweep out and open up. And exhale, thread it under. Let's do 2 more. Keeping that engagement through that down hand, keeping that dome underneath the palm. We'll come back up, bring the other hand down, all 5 fingers spread, clawing the finger pads into the mat. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, looking in the direction of the moving arm. Exhale, thread it under. Maybe come down to the ear, side of the shoulder. Inhale, open, or however far it feels comfortable for you to move. One more. And coming back here to both hands, we're finding child's or puppy pose. Child's pose, hips over heels, forehead resting down. That pose can work for a lot of us as a resting position, but if you have hip or knee issues, or sometimes even cramping in the toes, certainly if you have herniated disc or osteoporosis, try the puppy pose variation, hips over knees, forehead resting on the floor, or stacked hands, or yoga block under the forehead. Take a few breaths. Coming back into that lengthened breath again. Noticing what you're feeling in your hands after that intentional engagement there. We're going to keep working on that in all the hand weight bearing positions we're doing. And again, it might be a little much, so feel free to come down to your forearms for some of them, taking a break on the hands and the wrist. Staying here longer if you'd like to rest a little bit more, or coming back to hands and knees, spreading those fingers out, clawing the pads of the fingers in, stretching one foot back here, toes tucked under. Here's our toe rocking movement. Shifting forward, bending through the toes, pressing the heel back, a calf stretch, forward and backward. This is an area where you're tight, or you might have an injury, or even some arthritis in the ankle or the big toe. Keep it gentle here. Work within a range of motion that feels comfortable, that might give you some stretch, but is certainly not painful. And then we'll switch sides. Lowering that knee back down. So we're setting up for down dog. And down dog, again, can be very challenging on the wrist because a little bit more of your body weight is going through there. But to set up, we're going to bring our hands a little forward of the shoulders. And again, that same engagement of the hands, all 10 fingers spread out, clawing the pads of the fingers, pressing the heels of the hands into the floor to make that dome under the palm. Lift the hips up and back. Now, if you're tight to the backs of the legs, you might need to bend the knees a little bit. Shake that head out here, so relax through the neck. Add some movements of the lower body. Could be pedaling the feet, rise up on the toes, release the heels, wag the tail a little bit. Keeping that engagement here through the hands. If this is a lot for you, remember you can always lower the knees and rest, come back to it, or just stay resting. This engagement through the hands in physical therapy is strengthening of the intrinsic hand muscles. In yoga, this is called Hasta Bandha, which for our purposes today, I'm just going to explain as a muscular engagement that supports kind of a circular rim of bone. Looking forward, we're stepping the left foot between the hands. And if it doesn't get there, right knee lowers, left hand helps that foot come forward here. And we're going to keep that back, or lower the back knee if you didn't, and then bring both hands to the front thigh and lift yourself up into this upright position. Back toes tucked or untucked. Maybe you have a hand on the wall or a steady piece of furniture here to keep your balance. If you can find it without the hand assist, tailbone lengthening down towards the floor, and the top of the head is reaching up towards the ceiling. We're going to bring our arms into this cactus position, palms forward, elbows bent. A gentle pull of the shoulder blades towards each other, and then they kind of slide down towards the back waist. So you start to open the chest. If you can, those hands tilt back a little bit. Keep the neck long and breathing here. And then if you feel comfortable, we're going to make a fist with both hands and then open out wide. So we exhale, fist both hands, inhale, open out wide. Do a couple more. All right, we're going to bring both hands to the floor around that front foot. Engage those hands again, fingers spread, claw the pads of the fingers, step this back into a plank, lower both knees, keep the core tight, lower all the way to the floor. And then from here, we're gonna bring our hands out wide. We're coming up on those tinted fingers again. And this is a kind of cobra, twisting cobra, I call it. Elbows point up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lift the head and chest. Trying not to push too much with the hands. Exhale, lower one shoulder, look away from it. Inhale, lift head, chest through center, lengthen. Exhale, lower the other shoulder, look away. And do that one more time through each side. So hopefully you're not wavering too much through the hands, but you're still getting that muscular engagement in the palms. Inhale, come in through center. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Find that dome under the palms. Lift up to hands and knees. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Find that length in the spine, even if that means bending the knees a little or a lot. Maybe a few more movements of pedaling the feet or shaking the head. Eventually settling here and look forward. Right foot comes between the hands, helping it there. We'll lower the back knee. Take a moment here to lift the torso into the upright position, finding your balance, using the wall if you need it or a chair. Find that length in the spine, the tailbone towards the earth, top of the head towards the sky. We're coming into that cactus position, elbows bent, palms forward. Gentle squeeze of the shoulder blades slide down your back. So it starts to lift the breastbone, but don't get a big banana arch in the back. Keep that tailbone lengthening down. So you keep the core engaged and the spine safe. And then we're gonna close the hands and then open it back up wide. Exhale, close the hands. Inhale, open back up. Two more. Neck long, breathing. And we'll lower both hands down to the floor. Lift that back knee and step the back foot to the front foot. So if you're able to come into that ragdoll version, knees bent, upper body draped over here, bring the blocks towards you if you have them, or if you don't have it, you're going to use just the floor. If you need to keep that spine long because you have some osteoporosis, herniated, or you're just staying tight, you're going to do feet wide, butt back, forearms on the thigh, so the spine stays long. If you have those yoga blocks here, I'm going to come into, some people call this gorilla hands. So I have the backs of my hands resting on the floor, the fingers pointing towards my feet, and let my head relax between the upper arms here. You could do a little sway back and forward. If you can't get the backs of the hands, maybe you can get the backs of the knuckles on the floor here. You might be able to get both hands on the floor, a little sway, a little release through the head, the neck. And then bend the knees enough here so you can bring the hands or the fingertips to the floor on either side of the feet. And we're going to step this back into another down dog. And lower both knees here. So we're going to come into a plank that we hold. If you know anything about me, I hate holding plank. So we're going to do a little add-on here just to distract us. Again, we're going to be weight bearing down through the hands, but if you've had enough, come down on your forearms for this variation of plank. I'm going to start in a knee down variation. So I'm going to create this straight line from the knees to the top of my head. If you're on the hands, fingers spread, clawing the pads of the fingers into the floor, push the floor away. Lengthen here, pull the front hip bones towards each other. So you could stay like this, or tuck your toes, keep the hips level. Inhale, lift one knee, exhale, lower it. Inhale, lift the other knee, exhale, lower, and go back and forth. Keep the neck long, keep the floor pushed away, keep your hips level. Oh, and are you breathing? All right, both knees down, tuck the toes. I'm going to reach the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths, a pedal of the feet, shake out the head. And when you're ready, looking forward, we're going to walk our feet to the hands. Briefly find that forward fold. Bend the knees, strong legs. Inhale, rise up to stand, reaching up. And exhale, hands to prayer. Let it go. Shake it out. Roll those shoulders. We're going to do a few standing poses here, working in some of the hand movements. So take a big step back with that left foot. Bring that back heel down. So we're setting up for a warrior one. Front knee bent, hips are angled out towards the left. Tailbone down, top of the head is reaching up here towards the ceiling. Reaching the arms forward and back here into that warrior two position. I might have said warrior one, it's warrior two. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. And then glance back at your back hand. Turn that palm to face up. And we're going to tip those left fingers towards the floor. So you feel a stretch to the forearm and the palm. And then let it kind of pop back up. It'll pop back up on its own most likely. Inhale, tip the fingers towards the floor. Exhale, let it pop back up. I'm going to do a few more. This is just the back hand, just the left hand. And once you know what's happening, you could look over that right hand. We're actually doing a little median nerve glide here. The median nerve runs through the wrist under the carpal tunnel. It's the nerve that can get involved in carpal tunnel syndrome. All right, we're going to release this here. Straighten the front leg, swing the arms out. So carpal tunnel, often with repetitive movements, heavy gripping, sitting cocked at the wrist on the keyboard. But certainly if you're gripping hard on the oars, that could also create some inflammation under the tendons in the wrist to cause compression there. We're going to rebend that front knee. Back hand stays on the hip, and either front hand on the thigh or forearm on the thigh, opening up here a little bit more. Now you could go deeper. Some people bring that right hand down to the floor or to the yoga block. I like keeping the forearm here on the thigh so that I can stay in this nice open position and my shoulders don't rotate forward. I'm going to reach the top arm straight up towards the ceiling here in this side angle position, and then circle that lifted wrist. And notice, are you sunk down into that bottom shoulder? Can you rise out of it so the neck is long and there's space between the ears and the collarbones? Circle that wrist the other way. And then strong through the legs. Inhale, bring it back up to that warrior two. We're cartwheeling both hands down around that front foot. Pivot your back heel up. And I'm stepping this back into a down dog, clawing the pads of the fingers, feeling that dome in the hands. You could stay here. You could lower the knees for child's or puppy pose, or do a variation of the plank. So this, I'm going to do the same thing I did, or similar thing I did, but I'm going to do it with my knees up this time. You could do knees down again. Think straight line from the heels to the top of the head, clawing the pads of the fingers, pushing the floor away. Keep the hips really level. Inhale, tap one knee down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, the other knee lowers. Exhale, lift it. Keep breathing. Keep the hips really level. Long through the spine. But as the focus today, clawing the pads of the fingers into your yoga mat. Both knees up. Hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Relax the neck. And then from here, looking forward, we're stepping the left foot between the hands. So we're coming into those two standing poses we did, but on the other side, and we're entering it a little differently. So I'm going to pivot that right heel down, lifting the torso. Now I find myself up into that warrior two position. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears, spine long. Glance back at the back hand, flip that palm up, the right palm up towards the ceiling. And then we're dipping those fingers towards the floor just to feel some stretch in the forearm and palm, and exhale, let it rise back up. It'll passively do it on its own. Inhale, fingers towards the floor. Exhale, release it. Once you know what's going on there, bring the gaze back over to that left hand, keeping that front knee bent. That median nerve glide, that forearm stretch. All right, release both arms, straighten that front leg. You can swing out the arms. When you're ready, rebend that front knee. Here's our side angle, either left hand on the thigh or forearm on the thigh, or you might be able to bring that hand to the floor, but keep that chest open here. We're reaching that right arm up, long through the spine, long through the neck. Circle the wrist on that lifted hand. Circle the other way. And then we'll bring both hands down around that front foot. Back heel is up. Step the back foot to the front foot. Bend the knees. Maybe you find those gorilla hands here, top of the head releasing down, or maybe you're in that long spine position. If your feet are out wide, maybe you can bring the backs of the hands together here. Take a few breaths. Shake that head, release out, tension in the neck, jaw. And then we're going to bend our knees a little more, look forward, inhale, rise up. Maybe just roll those shoulders back and down here at the top of the standing position. We're going to work on our balance. And you may notice that some of the things we've been doing with our hands, we similarly do with our feet, especially in balance poses. And if you come to any of my other classes, you'll notice we do a lot of work on the feet, similar to what we're doing on the hands today. But we're, for balance, before I begin, you might want to step off the squishy mat, more solid surface. You might want to have a hand here at the wall or a steady piece of furniture. The foot we're going to balance on first, we'll bring it forward, spread those toes out and place them down in that spread out position. So that's like why we did widen our fingers. And we're kind of clawing the pads of the toes into the floor as you shift your weight onto that foot. So this is a variation of eagle pose, or this is actually more traditional eagle pose. We're going to bend that standing knee, keep it bent, and the other leg's going to come over. We're all going to start in this toe down variation. Tailbone towards the earth, top of the head towards the sky. So you could stay here keeping the toe down, or you could lift the toes up. If you have the space, you can wrap that foot around the back of the other thigh, or other calf rather, or not. So whichever leg you have forward, bring that arm forward, bend the elbow. Other arm comes up underneath, and either the backs of the hands come together or the palms come together. If both of those positions are hard, you're giving yourself a hug instead. Gaze focus on a non-moving spot straight ahead. Keep the spine long. That standing knee is bent. Both knees are bent. And we're going to unwind, shake it out. And we're doing that on the other side. So bring that foot forward, spread the toes, shift your weight onto it. Feel the arch is lifted away from the floor with that toe spread. Bend through the knee. Other leg over. Start in the toe down version. Focus the gaze on a non-moving spot. Lengthen the spine. You could stay here, toes down, or play with picking that foot up. Maybe you wrap the foot around the calf or just out to the side. And then the arms, whichever leg you are balancing on. Bring that side arm forward. Other one underneath. Backs of hands together or palms together, or a self-hug. Breathe. We're going to unwind and shake it out. Let it go. All right, come on up to the front of the mat. Maybe the feet are out yoga mat distance or even wider here if that's comfortable. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, relax the shoulders. If it's comfortable for the shoulders, you're going to reach behind you, interlacing the fingers. Roll the shoulders back and down. Get even taller. Put a little bend to the knees and fold forward. First, we're just going to hinge, reach the knuckles towards the back wall. You could stay here, especially if the spine needs to stay long. Or let the top of the head hang down, the hands come up and over. Shake that head out, take a couple breaths. We'll release the hands to the floor, and we're stepping this back to come to hands and knees. So we're going to do a little bit here to stretch out the backs of the hands. So similar to that kind of gorilla hand position, but we're going to do just one at a time because we're weight bearing more through here. And this one can be very challenging if you're tight in the forearm or the wrist. So I'm bringing the back of my hand to the floor. It's awkward here. Back of my hand to the floor. Where my watch is facing forward. My palm is up towards the ceiling and my fingers are pointing towards the knee. So I've just flipped my hand over and reversed the finger position direction. If it feels comfortable, you can do a tiny little shift back and forward. You'll feel some stretch here on the forearm, the back of the forearm, back of the wrist. And then shake that one out, and we'll do this on the other side. So I have the back of my hand on the floor, the palm faces up towards the ceiling, the fingers are pointing towards my knee. And maybe you try a little shift forward and back. You might notice one side is tighter than the other. Maybe it's your dominant side that's tighter, maybe not. If you've had wrist fractures or other wrist injuries in the past, sometimes this range of motion is limited, so you're not forcing it. Even if you've never had injury, don't force it. All right, shake that hand out, relaxing it. I'm going to come into a seated position here. I'm going to use my folded blanket to elevate my hips so I can sit a little taller. I'm sitting cross-legged, but you could be in a straddle, sitting back on your heels. You could do this one sitting on the front edge of a chair or your couch, but you want to be able to sit tall. We're doing some cat and cow motions through the spine, and we're adding some wrist and finger stuff to this too. So I'm going to interlace my fingers and then turn the palms to face out away from me. So in the inhale, I'm reaching my palms up towards the ceiling, looking up a little bit so I get that breastbone lift. And then as you exhale, bring your palms forward, drop the chin so you feel that space opening up between the shoulder blades. Inhale, palms up, look up a little bit. Exhale, palms forward. Push the palms forward so you feel more space between the shoulder blades. Do that a few more times. Rising up, release this here, shaking out the wrists, roll the shoulders. And we've done a little stretch here for the back of the wrist. You might have felt some stretch here in the forearm. We're going to do that from a seated position. So we'll bring one hand forward, like you're saying stop. You're going to bring the other hand. It's pushing back on your four fingers. The thumb stays loose. Gently pushing back here so you get some stretch through the palm, through the forearm. Relax both shoulders. So you don't even have to have the hand forward. It could be down a little bit more if that helps to keep the shoulders relaxed. You're pulling back enough to feel a gentle stretch. So if it's painful, you've pushed too far. And then we'll release this here. And of course, we'll do the other side. So that hand forward, like you're saying, stop. The other hand pushing back those four fingers. The thumb is free. Pushing back so you feel a stretch in the palm, the forearm. Remember, you don't have to stay up. Hands could be down. You're relaxing through the shoulders. So the muscles that flex and extend the wrist and flex and extend the fingers, all but a few of them start up on the forearm and they actually attach at the elbow. So you can get tendonitis at both sides of the elbow depending on the activity that you're doing and certainly the repetition that you're doing it with. All right, we're going to relax this here, shake out the wrist, roll the shoulders backwards a few times. We're coming on to our bellies to come into a frog leg position. And actually, before you go, you might want to have this padding underneath you here. So I have that blanket, I've unfolded it once here to have it underneath my hips and pubic bones. And in this instance, it'll be also underneath my inner knee because I'm coming into a frog leg position. Let's all do the same side just to make it a little easier. I'm going to bring that left knee out into the frog leg position. So it's out to the side, my inner knee is resting on the floor, and then I'm letting my head rest here, arms in whatever position feel comfortable to you. This position is not about stretch or engaging muscles, it's about relaxing muscles in the back of that left hip. So if you start to lengthen your breath out, slow it down. That helps tell the nervous system that it's okay to relax, that it's safe to relax. Take a few more breaths right here, maybe slowing that exhale down. Seeing if you can release a little bit more tension in the body on each exhale. I'll pause here. So I'm going to keep my left knee out to the side, but roll onto my right side. And that left knee might slide with you, but you're coming here into the sideline position, arm under the head, or maybe slide a block under there. We're going to do a quad stretch for the bottom leg. So this top knee gets to rest. I'm going to bend that bottom leg, reaching back with the top hand to find the foot. This could be where you need a strap to get that foot. So that might be a good addition. Additional use of props here. Take a few more breaths. Releasing that foot. Coming onto your belly, straightening that left leg, and we'll do the other side. So the right knee is coming out into that frog leg position, inner knee resting on the floor, head and arms in whatever position feel the most comfortable to you. Make any adjustments you need to. You may not have landed right in the right place. I'm going to scooch over so my inner knee gets the benefit of the blanket padding. Make any adjustments you need so you can relax a little bit more. The more comfortable you are, the easier it is to release tension in the muscles. It's probably pretty obvious, but sometimes we have to intentionally make ourselves comfortable so we can relax a little bit more. Taking a few breaths here. Again, this pose, putting the muscles on the back of that right hip, that glute maximus, piriformis muscles all get to relax here. When you're ready, we're gonna keep that right knee bent, but roll into your left side. You might even roll kind of partially off your mat. That right inner knee stays resting on the floor, and it's the left leg, that bottom leg, we're gonna do the quad stretch with. So reaching back with your top hand to find it. Make sure you're supporting the head with the arm, or this is a good place to slide the block underneath because you're not rolling around. Take a few breaths here. And we'll let that foot go. Straighten the legs out, roll onto your belly. I'm coming into some locust pose. These are some belly down back bend movements. If it's not comfortable for your back, a couple of things you can do. You could put a pillow under the low belly and do the same things, or you could flip on your back and do bridge pose instead. Bringing my arms down by the sides, palms face up, tailbone lengthening towards the foot of the mat. Inhale, lift the head and chest, lift the hands, actively reach them towards your feet, maybe raising the legs too, and then we exhale, lower it all down. Spine stays long, inhale, lift, gaze down and forward, exhale, lower. Two more. Lower down, arms forward, resting the head. Might feel good to wiggle the hips a little bit. Now I'm going to do a second set of those locust poses, different arm variation. You could decide, it's enough, I'm going to stay right here and rest, or you could add these either with same hand position, arms by the sides, or interlacing the fingers, palms facing each other to start, but then kind of move the wrist away from each other, tailbone towards the feet, inhale, lift the head, chest, lift the hands, knuckles reach towards your feet, maybe lift the legs, exhale, lower. I'm going to do three more, keeping the neck long. I'm keeping the tailbone lengthening towards the foot of the mat the whole time. And lower down, arms come forward to rest the head. Bend the knees, rock the legs side to side, windshield wiper motion. Bring both feet down to the floor, making your way onto your backs. We did relaxation position for the muscles in the back of the hips. Let's give them a gentle stretch here. So we'll have one thigh over the other. Pull the legs in towards you, holding onto the shins here, or ankles, or backs of thighs, or the other option is an alternate pose, which is ankle over knee, relaxing through the shoulders, the neck, the jaw. And we'll switch, other thigh on top. So the sensation here we're looking for, or maybe expecting, would be stretch in the buttocks, outer hip of the leg that's on top. If you are very flexible, you might just feel openness and less of stretch. We'll untangle the legs here. Keep the knees bent. We'll bring the arms out to the side. Strut both legs over to your right. And then go ahead and roll on over to your right. So you're in this kind of sideline position. And then that top arm, we're going to sweep it up and then back behind and turn your head to follow that movement. So I'm looking towards the left arm. Take a few breaths here. If you need any props in the knees or in between, feel free. Just change it up a little bit. And I had you come from the side lying into the twist as opposed to the back into the twist only. Notice here how your fingers sort of naturally curl up. And that has to do with the tension in the forearm muscles here. We'll pull the knees in towards us, coming onto the back, maybe gentle hug in, a little rocking or circling. And then when you're ready, left knees go over to the left. Turn yourself onto the left hand, this kind of fetal pose. And then we'll sweep the top arm, the right arm up and back. Turn your head in that direction. See if that helps that back of the right shoulder release towards the earth. Take a few breaths. And we're going to pull the knees up and roll onto the back. Decide if there's something you'd like to do before Shavasana. Maybe it's a happy baby, different hip stretch or twist, an inversion you'd like to add to your practice, or maybe PT exercises you'd like to add in. You can be in whatever position is comfortable for you for Shavasana. I'm going to be on my back with my knees bent, but could have legs up in a wall or a chair or some other position. I'm going to use the yoga blocks to help keep my hands open. So if you notice when your arms are out to the sides and palms up, the fingers are a little bent. That is very natural. But to give ourselves a little bit of stretch here, I'm going to use the weight of the blocks in my hands to kind of flatten out my fingers a little bit. So I'm going to hold the blocks in my hands and bring the arms out to the sides. And then I'm kind of walking the blocks out so that they're resting on my palms and my fingers here to keep my palms a little bit open. Any adjustments you'd like to make? Could be your arms closer in by your hips, could be arms out in a more 90-degree or even the cactus arm position here. And if it helps, using the breath to settle into the Shavasana, take an inhale through the nose. And your exhale, like you're saying HA. Do that again. Sighing out HA. Let the breath go. So no longer working on that intentional breathing pattern. Letting the body take over its natural rhythm here and allow yourself to rest for the next few minutes. As you're ready, start to deepen the breath. You might make some gentle movements like turning the head, wiggling the fingers, the toes, circling the wrists, the ankles. Maybe you take a full body stretch, reaching overhead, maybe legs out. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, release. Bend the knees, roll to your side, pause for a moment, support the head. Taking this opportunity before you return to your evening to appreciate your breath, your health, your yoga practice. Being gentle, press up to a seated position. Thank you all for being here, sharing your practice and energy. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That was really nice.